Even though we are past Christmas and heading into the new year, Christmas movies are still in the air. But at this point, you have to ask, is everything that's playing a true Christmas movie? And I want to talk to you about that because there are certain things that make a Christmas movie a true Christmas movie. And it really revolves around three things. And I'm going to use a movie that a lot of people think is not a Christmas movie to show what really makes something a classic of the season. So let's talk about what makes a classic. Well, we can start with the classic A Christmas Story. This story is told in melancholy tone in a series of flashbacks. And you know the story. It's the one with the father that cursed up a storm. It's the one with the bully that was always hurting other kids as they went to and from school, especially Ralphie. But it is Ralphie's wanting of the official Red Ryder carbine action 200 shot range model air rifle that is the center point of the film. And everyone's warning him throughout the story that he'd shoot his eye out. But when he finally did, he almost did shoot his eye out. Yes, the stuff of warmth and happiness. Or what about Kevin, who had the neglectful parents that let his uncle call him a jerk, let his siblings and cousins verbally abuse him into a massive inferiority complex, not to mention these parents in a rush to go on Christmas vacation plop themselves into first class on a plane, ignoring all the children along with them as they dump them into coach and don't even realize that they left the poor kid behind to face the terrors of the real world and a home invasion. So now let's look at the poor police officer who traveled to Los Angeles for Christmas to reunite with his family for the holidays, only to be in the middle of a vicious attack by supposed terrorists at the Nakatomi Plaza Christmas party. Yes, we are going to talk about why this film could be a classic, because I'm going to show that if you can accept the idea that a kid's obsession with a BB gun or the kid that was left home alone are true classics of Christmas, then you have to accept that Die Hard is a Christmas movie for grown-ups. Now, some of you may be agreeing with me completely, but this video is for those that will say it is not a Christmas movie. It just takes place at Christmas. Now, I'll agree with you. There are movies that just take place at Christmas that some people have said, hey, this is a Christmas movie. I've heard Batman Returns has been listed as this. Even sometimes, even though I'm a fan of Doctor Who, the Christmas specials really sometimes do push it with it being the Christmas episode. So let's look at the idea of the circumstances involved in a Christmas movie. Firstly, we have to look at the idea of what the plot is, and straight out of the cliches of a John Hughes film or 1500 Hallmark movies, we have an estranged husband coming to town to celebrate Christmas with his family. He even brings presents for the kids he hasn't seen in 6 months. As a gesture of reconnection, he is invited by his wife to her company's Christmas party at Nakatomi Plaza before heading home to the kids. The company is celebrating a banner year and is throwing a lavish end-of-the-year bash to reward all of its employees. Yes, it is the office Christmas party. Now, in any holiday movie that has this kind of party at the center, we know that hijinks will always ensue at this event of the season. And of course, the hijinks happen when the hero least expects it. Getting away from the hustle and bustle of the party to freshen up, he hears the sound of gunfire. Now, the unusual event in a Christmas party is where the hijinks begin. But this is where everyone ignores the Christmas part to point out that this is nothing more than an action film because of Hans Gruber, played by Alan Rickman in his first feature film. He enters the party guns blazing. The bad guys of an action film show up and threaten to do harm. Wait a minute. These aren't the same bad guys. Nope. They are after the poor, helpless kid, Kevin, who was left home alone. They are at the door and threatening to do harm. Now, going back to our hero, John McClane, at the Nakatomi Plaza, in an attempt to save himself and call for help, our hero pulls out a weapon and begins to form a plan. But to stop the bad guys, Kevin pulls out a weapon and begins to form a plan to protect himself and the building he is trapped in. Finding what he can use, he comes across some explosives and works out the idea of making a makeshift weapon, where Kevin comes across a blowtorch and thinks about the idea of how can he use that to defeat the bad guys. Our hero, John McClane, takes a computer and a chair and ties the explosives to it, ready to throw it out to the bad guys, just like the paint cans that are thrown at the bad guys by Kevin. A chair is launched down an elevator shaft with explosives tied to it, defeating the bad guys in an explosive manner with fiery consequences that lead to destruction, but allows our hero to celebrate the fact that his chances of survival have increased. I'm going to leave Kevin behind a little bit here because this is only one aspect that I want to use. The idea that there is action in a Christmas movie on a kid's level as well as an adult. And I will point out that Die Hard was in 1988. Home Alone was in 1990. Maybe stretching a point, but was there some influence there? But no, I'm going to move on to the next point. The fact that there must be a reason that something happens at Christmas. And let's look at this. There is a party going on celebrating the end of the year where a multitude of people are gathering and are relaxing. So this man wants to basically invade the vault of the building. What better time than the annual Christmas party to take hostages and be able to threaten to get what you want? But beyond that, a central character always comments on the fact that there are miracles at Christmas, and they will continue commenting on it to remind other characters that there are miracles at Christmas. Well, the person that reminds people about the miracles at Christmas is actually Hans Gruber, and he does it a couple times in the film. First, a little bit sarcastically.
Theo, are we on schedule?
One more to go, then it's up to you. And you better be right, because it looks like this last one's gonna take a miracle.
It's Christmas, Theo. It's the time of miracles, so be of good cheer and call me when you hit the last lock.
But then, this line could be simply ignored, just a simple line commenting on Christmas. But as I said, it is the continued reminder of the spirit of Christmas and Christmas miracles that must happen in a Christmas film. So as this night progresses, once again, Hans must remind his colleagues about Christmas miracles.
Ordering the others to cut the building's power. Regular as clockwork.
Or a time lock.
Precisely. The circuits that cannot be cut are cut automatically in response to a terrorist incident. You asked for miracles, Theo. I give you the FBI.
So, in A Christmas Story, our hero eventually gets that sought-after present. This is where the filmmakers did really make the point that this was a Christmas film, because when our bad guy, Hans Gruber, our central focal point, gets his wish, they actually treat it like the opening of the Christmas miracle.
It's gonna go! Merry Christmas.
And look at it. The gates open to the miracle itself. Light bathes on the character that was striving to open the present. When it is open, not only do we get the Christmas music, not in the background, but part of the moment, with Hans Gruber not only having light bathing down on him, he actually has his hair blowing as he views the miracle. And then our heroes launch into the vault, ready to open their Christmas present. So Die Hard has the perfect moment in it for Christmas because everyone gets the miracle they were hoping for. So this is my second point, but there is a last point that I want to make that really is the heart of what I consider Christmas movies. It is the one thing that sets everything apart, and it is the tradition of watching the movie at Christmas time. That moment where you basically have the movie you have been waiting for to watch all year long. And this is what happens with this movie. Every year, there are memes, comments, viewing parties. In fact, just before I was recording this, I found out that one of our local independent theaters is actually playing the movie on the screen, and they are offering a cocktail called the Yippee-Ki-Yay. So there are people that kick back with the hot cocoa, just like they're watching a Charlie Brown Christmas or even a Christmas Story, where those watching a Christmas Story anticipate that in the desperate attempt that Ralphie is going to be begging for Santa to get the air rifle and is kicked down the slide, so too do people anticipate the moment by saying, "It's not Christmas until I see Hans Gruber fall from the Nakatomi Tower." But we do have to remember that in the Christmas spirit, these are the bad guys. And of course, the bad guys of the film must always be defeated by the noble hero. So, to all of you, I say yippee-ki-yay. But don't worry, I will not say the next line, but I will say Happy New Year. Not Merry Christmas, because I've already seen Hans Gruber fall from the Nakatomi Tower.